There comes a time in every life when the path forward is hidden in mist. Uncertainty looms, and the soul questions, what if it all falls apart? But I ask you to consider a different question. What if everything works out, not by chance, but because you acted as though it would? The world outside mirrors the world within. The way you see yourself, your beliefs, your imagination, your quiet expectations, these are not passive reflections. They are creative forces. If you carry the image of failure, you unconsciously build it. But if you carry the image of victory, not arrogance, but calm conviction, you draw the shape of your future. This is not blind optimism. It is deep psychology. It is a dialogue with the unconscious, a choice to hold faith in your future self before she has fully emerged. But don't mistake acting as if for pretending. This is not a lie. This is becoming. You are not faking success. You are preparing for it. You are not avoiding fear. You are walking beside it. You are allowing possibility to bloom in the soil of courage. Understand this. You are not just the product of your past. You are the architect of your becoming. Each time you choose to act with the dignity of someone who believes in their path, you expand the map of what is possible. You attract strange help. Coincidences arise. Doors appear where there were only walls. Not because you forced life, but because you flowed with it. Of course, not everything will go according to plan. But if you continue acting as if life supports you, you will see how even the detours were never deviations. They were redirections, gifts in disguise, meant to refine you. The world we move through each day is shaped not merely by circumstance, but by the unseen architecture of our inner world. Before a man ever speaks a word, takes an action, or makes a decision, there is a silent image, an expectation, a belief, a vision that precedes him. This inner image is not idle imagination or fantasy. It is an active psychological force. It carries with it the momentum to either build or destroy, to open doors or keep them forever sealed. What we hold in the quiet chambers of the psyche, we inevitably project outward, and more often than not, the world reflects it back to us as reality. People often believe that perception follows experience. In truth, it is often the reverse. A person who walks into life carrying the image that they are unwanted, unworthy, or doomed will, without knowing it, interpret every event as evidence of that narrative. Even neutral moments become tinged with despair. A closed door doesn't simply mean not now. It means never. A passing glance becomes rejection. Opportunity is invisible to eyes trained to look for danger. And so the tragic cycle repeats, not because the world conspires against them, but because their inner image directs them to see only what matches their expectation. But the beauty and the burden of this truth is that the opposite is also possible. When someone chooses to carry the inner image that life will unfold in their favor, something profound begins to shift. They approach situations with openness instead of suspicion, curiosity instead of fear. And the world, in turn, offers more to them. It is not magic. It is not delusion. It is psychological alignment, a deep harmony between belief and behavior, which alters perception and invites more adaptive action. When you believe something is possible, you search for ways to participate in its unfolding. You ask better questions. You listen longer. You persist more gently, but more consistently. These are not grand gestures, but they are transformative ones. The inner image is also the foundation of self-concept. If you inwardly see yourself as weak, unimportant, or doomed to fail, you will unconsciously shrink in rooms where you were meant to lead. You will abandon ideas before they fully form. You will assume silence means rejection, and in doing so, you will fulfill the prophecy you never meant to write. But when your inner image holds a vision of you as capable, resilient, and worthy, not perfect, but purposeful, you begin to embody that potential. And slowly, the world takes notice. People respond not to your resume or your accolades, but to the invisible certainty in your posture, the grounded belief that you belong here, doing exactly what you're doing. Children do this instinctively. They pretend they are kings, queens, explorers, inventors, and in that play, they practice stepping into those roles. They don't yet know what they can't do, but as we grow, we are taught to be realistic, and often realism becomes code for learned helplessness. We are told not to hope too loudly, not to dream too vividly, and so we reduce our vision to match the fears of others. The result, a generation of capable people carrying small images of themselves, living lives that do not reflect the depth of their true capacity. To act as if everything always works out for you is not a childish fantasy. It is a psychological decision to live according to a more empowering inner image. It is to recognize that the shape of your thoughts precedes the shape of your actions, and those actions shape the life you build. It does not mean denying pain, struggle, or complexity. On the contrary, it means walking into those very storms with a centered knowing, I can navigate this. I am being shaped, not destroyed. It is to replace the image of fragility with one of unfolding strength. When we commit to refining our inner image, we are not engaging in delusion. We are engaging in creation. We are sculptors of the unseen, painting with thoughts, chiseling with belief, molding with vision. And when that image is rooted in dignity, courage, and quiet faith, it calls forth a different quality of life, one where struggle becomes story and setbacks become scenes, not endings, because the soul, once given an image to move toward, rarely forgets the way. To act as if everything always works out for you is not a rejection of fear, nor is it a denial of doubt. It is a radical acceptance of their presence, coupled with the decision to not let them drive the vehicle of your life. There is a common misconception that confidence means never feeling unsure, that strength is the absence of fear, but in truth, the strongest souls are those who have learned how to walk hand in hand with their shadow. They do not eliminate doubt, they integrate it. They do not silence fear, they learn to listen to it without obedience. The human psyche is a landscape of contradiction. Within each person lies not only the dreamer and the builder, but also the skeptic, the saboteur, the frightened child who remembers past failure and betrayal. And if we attempt to exile that part of ourselves, it only grows more powerful in the unconscious. It begins to pull strings from the shadows, it whispers in moments of stillness, it clouds our vision when we most need clarity. But when we turn toward it and say, I see you, I hear your fear, and I am still going forward, something profound happens. The shadow loses its grip. It becomes a companion, not a captor. Doubt is not inherently destructive. It is the sign of a mind alive with questioning, of a heart that cares deeply about the outcome. But when doubt is avoided or denied, it becomes corrosive. It creeps in through the cracks and poisons confidence from within. However, when doubt is embraced as part of the journey, as a voice to be acknowledged but not obeyed, it becomes a teacher. It humbles us. It sharpens our clarity. It demands that we examine our intentions and strengthen our convictions. Many people wait until they feel fearless to begin acting with purpose. They believe that courage is a sensation that must precede action. But courage is not a feeling, it is a choice. It is the willingness to move forward despite the shaking in your voice, the trembling in your gut. To act as if everything always works out for you is not to pretend you have no fear. It is to refuse to let fear dictate your reality. You look doubt in the eye and say, I know you're here, but you're not in control today. The shadow of doubt often emerges most fiercely right before growth. When you are on the edge of transformation, your old self resists. It knows that stepping forward means shedding its control, and so it fights back with everything it has criticism, hesitation, paralysis. This is not a sign that you are weak. It is a sign that you are evolving. The key is not to flee this discomfort, but to walk into it with awareness. You must say to yourself, "This fear is evidence that I am moving beyond what I've known. I honor it, but I do not submit to it." Acting as if everything always works out does not mean expecting ease. It means choosing inner steadiness in the face of external uncertainty. It means trusting that even when things appear chaotic, there is still something within you that knows how to move forward. It means recognizing that failure is not final, it is formative, and the only way to reach a future worth living is to move through the moments that threaten your confidence, not around them. You are not meant to be fearless, you are meant to be honest. Real power lies not in perfection, but in presence. It lies in showing up with your uncertainty, your wounds, your doubts, and moving anyway. It lies in the quiet voice that whispers, "Even if I don't know how this ends, I will not betray myself by hiding." Some of the most transformative breakthroughs in life come after we endure the tension between fear and forward motion. The fear doesn't go away. It softens as we grow stronger. Over time, as we keep showing up, we begin to realize that the shadow was never our enemy. It was a reflection of the parts of ourselves that needed love, attention, and clarity. Once seen, it loses its threat. Once embraced, it becomes fuel. You are not here to prove your perfection. You are here to embody your becoming. And that becoming will always require that you carry the weight of your doubt, not to be crushed by it, but to be shaped by it. Walk forward with it beside you, and you will find that strength is not the absence of the shadow, it is the courage to keep walking through it. There is a rhythm to life that often escapes the logic. Bound mind. We are trained to believe that everything must be planned, scheduled, and controlled. That success is only the result of forceful action and rigid discipline. And while discipline has its place, there is another truth that runs just beneath the surface. Not everything that matters can be forced. Sometimes, the most meaningful moments arise not from strategy, but from surrender. This is the realm of synchronicity, the mysterious and often inexplicable alignment of inner intent with outer events. When you begin to act as if everything always works out for you, you enter into a partnership with this deeper intelligence. You don't stop working, but you stop forcing. You don't stop striving, but you start listening. Synchronicity is not superstition. It is not passive waiting or wishful thinking. It is the recognition that life, when met with sincerity and trust, has a way of arranging encounters, opportunities, and timing in ways far more intelligent than anything we could orchestrate on our own. It is the moment you think of someone and they call. It is the chance meeting that opens a door. It is the job you almost didn't apply for that turns into your greatest breakthrough. These moments are not accidents. They are responses. They are life reflecting your internal alignment back to you in the form of meaningful coincidence. This does not mean you are in control of everything. Far from it. But when your intentions are clear and your actions are congruent with your values, the outer world begins to mirror that inner clarity. You stop pushing against the current and start walking with it. You stop resisting uncertainty and start reading its signs. Acting as if everything always works out for you is a mindset of quiet cooperation with time itself. You begin to trust the delays. You stop demanding that everything happen on your schedule and instead ask a more powerful question. What is this moment preparing me for? Timing is everything, not just in external events, but in the unfolding of your own development. There are times when what you desire would only harm you if it arrived too soon. There are seasons when nothing seems to move, not because life has abandoned you, but because you are being held in stillness for a reason. Perhaps you are being asked to strengthen your boundaries. Perhaps a part of you is being refined, and though it feels like stagnation, it is actually a sacred recalibration. Not every pause is punishment. Some pauses are the gathering of momentum. Those who do not trust life's timing tend to act from desperation. They chase, they force, they overthink, and the more they chase, the more things slip away. But those who trust, who show up with steady effort and open expectation, begin to experience a strange kind of magic. People appear at just the right time. Solutions surface when they are most needed. Doors open, not always the ones they were knocking on, but often better ones they hadn't seen. This is not luck. It is psycho-spiritual alignment. It is what happens when your inner belief, things will work out for me, meets the patience to let life bring it in its own way. Living with this kind of trust is not the same as passivity. It's not about sitting back and hoping. It's about engaging fully while releasing the need to control outcomes. You prepare, you take action, you remain watchful. But you do so with the knowledge that not everything must be wrangled into submission. Some things must simply be allowed to arrive, and when they do, you will often look back and realize, had they come any earlier, you would not have been ready. The challenge, of course, is to remain faithful in the in-between. Those liminal spaces where nothing makes sense yet, where the evidence hasn't caught up to the belief. This is where most people abandon trust. They confuse quiet for rejection, they confuse delay for denial, but if you continue to walk with faith, you begin to see life's intelligence everywhere. What once felt random begins to feel orchestrated. What once felt like failure begins to look like redirection. You learn to move not only by logic, but by listening. You learn to see timing not as an obstacle, but as a language, and you begin to read it. The person who acts as if everything always works out for them does not claim to control the future. They simply refuse to panic when it doesn't look the way they expected. They understand that while plans are helpful, presence is essential. And in that presence, they receive what force could never deliver, the quiet assurance that life, in its own way, is conspiring to meet them, right on time. To act as if everything always works out for you is not to pretend to be someone else. It is a conscious choice to begin living in alignment with the version of yourself that already exists within, the self you have glimpsed in moments of clarity, the self you are becoming. This is not about self-delusion. It is about faithful action. Faithful not in a religious sense, but in a deeply personal one. A commitment to act in ways that honor your potential, even before you have fully lived into it. It is the practice of embodying the person you sense you could be, especially in the moments when doubt tries to convince you otherwise. Becoming who you truly are is not a passive discovery. It is an active unfolding. Each decision, each gesture, each small act of courage is a vote for the life you are building. The mistake many people make is waiting for clarity before they begin. They wait to feel ready, wait to feel confident, wait until their circumstances reflect their dreams. But life does not operate on that timetable. The truth is, clarity often comes after commitment. You take the step, and then the next stone appears. You speak the truth, and then you realize you had a voice all along. You act as if things will work out, and only then do you begin to see how capable you actually are. There is a sacred responsibility in this posture. When you begin to act from your highest vision, not your fears, not your wounds, you are not faking it, you are training yourself. You are rehearsing your strength, even if your voice trembles. You are making space for the future to arrive because you are behaving as someone who expects to receive it, This is not arrogance, it is integrity. You are aligning your actions with your intentions, and over time your character expands to meet that image, that version of you. The grounded, wise, patient, resilient version is not some idealized figure in the distance. It is who you become through repeated, faithful action. This approach demands a kind of internal loyalty. Life will not always offer instant feedback. In fact, for a time, your surroundings might not change at all. You might still face rejection, still struggle with the same patterns, still battle the same doubts. But if you stay faithful to the version of yourself that trusts things will work out, your relationship to those struggles will shift. You will stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this shaping in me?" You begin to see obstacles as tests of alignment, opportunities to respond not as the old self would, but as the becoming self must. The self you are becoming is not afraid of temporary discomfort. It understands that integrity often demands sacrifice of convenience, of approval, of the comfort of playing small. It understands that authenticity sometimes feels lonely at first because it strips away what is not true. But in return, it grants you a profound sense of inner freedom. You begin to walk through the world with a kind of quiet certainty, not because everything is easy, but because you know who you are becoming is worth the cost of the transformation. Faithful action is rarely dramatic. It is often found in the mundane, repeated choices that no one sees, waking up early to work on your craft, saying no to distractions, speaking up when silence would be easier, choosing grace instead of bitterness. It is in those small, private moments that identity is forged. You do not become your highest self through a single breakthrough. You become through repetition, through acting again and again as if the person you long to be is already within you, simply waiting for you to give them the lead. The more you act from that place, the more natural it becomes. What once felt like effort becomes instinct. What once felt like pretending begins to feel like remembering. Because the truth is, you are not inventing a new self. You are uncovering a deeper one. You are peeling back the layers of fear, shame, and hesitation to reveal a self that was always there. One who trusts life, one who carries vision, one who responds to challenge not with panic, but with presence. That self cannot be built overnight, but it can be built brick by brick, through the consistent choice to live in alignment with who you're meant to be even when no one is watching. And with time, the world begins to reflect that inner shift. Not immediately, and not always predictably, but undeniably, relationships change, opportunities arise, new levels of strength reveal themselves, and you realize that what changed your life was not luck, or timing, or perfection. It was the simple, daily decision to act as if everything always works out, and to become the kind of person who makes that true.